silent screams. Welcome to a place where the shadows stretch far beyond the safety of light. Here, we tell stories not just to entertain, but to make you question what is real. Keep your eyes open, your mind sharp, and your heart steady. This is where the world of the living and the dead merge, and you may not leave the same. I remember the day I first decided to hike into the mountains, alone. It was supposed to be a peaceful escape, a way to clear my mind, to reconnect with nature. I didn't expect it to turn into a nightmare, and yet here I am, telling you this story. It was a crisp autumn morning when I set off, just after the sun had risen, casting long shadows over the rocky path. My pack was light, but my mind was heavy. It had been a rough few months, and I needed the quiet, the solitude to reset. The trail was peaceful at first, too peaceful. I walked for hours, the only sound being my boots crunching against the dry leaves and the occasional call of a distant bird. The air felt clean, fresh, the kind of air you could almost taste. But after some time, I began to notice something strange. The path started to twist, the trees thicker, the silence more intense. The deeper I went, the more I felt like I was being watched. At first, I tried to shake it off. It's just the woods, I told myself. It's just your mind playing tricks. But then came the whispers. It started faintly, just a murmur that I thought was the wind. But the longer I walked, the clearer it became. A voice, soft and almost melodic, like a lullaby, drifting through the trees. I stopped dead in my tracks, heart pounding in my chest. The voice called my name. No, not just called it, whispered. It, over and over again, as though it were right behind me. I turned, spinning around in a frantic circle, but there was nothing. Only the trees. And yet, the feeling of being watched intensified, suffocating me. My breath caught in my throat, and I knew in that instant, I was not alone. I continued walking, faster now, my footsteps echoing off the rocks, the whispering voice still in my ears. The trees grew thicker, the shadows longer, the path narrower. I could feel the air getting colder, heavier, as though the forest itself were holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Then I saw it. A figure, standing just beyond the tree line, shrouded in mist. At first, I thought it was another hiker, but no, this figure wasn't moving. It stood completely still, staring at me with eyes that seemed to glow from within, though I couldn't make out any facial features. I froze. My feet wouldn't move, and for a moment I couldn't even breathe. The figure remained there, staring, until it slowly started to dissolve into the mist, vanishing as if it were never there. I should have turned back. I knew that then, but something kept me going. A sick curiosity, maybe? I don't know. Maybe I thought it was just my imagination. But as I pressed on, the feeling of unease only grew stronger. The whispers were louder now, not just one voice, but many, overlapping, calling from all directions. The trees seemed to shift as if they were alive, moving, bending toward me. I started to run, my breath ragged, my heart pounding in my ears, but the trail didn't seem to end. The forest went on forever, a maze of trees that seemed to change shape, leading me deeper into an unknown place. It wasn't long before the sun started to dip below the horizon, the light fading, the forest darkening rapidly. I could barely see the path ahead, but that was when I saw them. At first, they were just shadows, figures moving between the trees. But as I got closer, I saw them more clearly. Pale, gaunt faces peering out from behind the trunks, their eyes hollow, their mouths twisted into strange, silent screams. I stopped dead in my tracks again, my blood running cold. I don't know what they were, but they weren't human. I could feel it, They moved slowly, dragging their feet, their heads tilted at unnatural angles as they watched me. There were too many of them to count, each one more horrifying than the last. Some of their skin was shredded, hanging off their bones like tattered cloth, and their hands, long, gnarled fingers that reached out toward me. I turned and ran, again, faster than I ever thought I could run, stumbling over roots, tripping over rocks, the shadows following. The forest around me seemed to close in, the trees narrowing the path, suffocating me. I was almost certain I could hear their footsteps behind me, dragging slowly, purposefully. The ground beneath me suddenly gave way, and I tumbled down into a ravine, landing hard on my back. I lay there for a moment, stunned, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The whispers stopped, the figures vanished, but the forest, it wasn't quiet. The trees seemed to sigh with the wind, the air thick with an eerie energy. I sat up slowly, trying to make sense of what had just happened. I looked around, trying to get my